In my last video about Crush, I talked about a bunch of fun facts about the game's levels, as well as some odd glitches that can happen. If you haven't seen it yet, some of the things I'll be talking about here assume that you've seen that first video, so go watch it if you haven't. If you already have, then welcome back! A lot of interesting things have happened since that last video, and there were a few things I failed to mention. I've got information about the production of the game, cool new speedrun tech, and other fun stuff like that. So let's begin with the big thing. Emulator is finally viable again for speedruns. But not in the way I'd expected. You may remember in the first video I had a whole spiel about how Emulator gave me this error message after every level, and that I tried everything to get it to not do that, including trying older versions of the emulator. I guess I didn't go far back enough, because just the other day I found out that versions 1.0.1 and lower of PPSSPP do not give the error. I could have sworn that I tried version 1.0, but I suppose not. Oops! Nonetheless, this does mean that the speedrun is finally more accessible, as people no longer need to own a PS Vita to run the game. On the speedrun.com page, I've linked a download for version 1.0.1 if you'd like to try the run for yourself. I've also put out a full Any% guide on my second channel, which goes through every level and technique that is currently in Any%. And speaking of Any%, let's talk about some reroutes! Since doing a failed crush will freeze moving objects, but still have your collapse animation be playing so that by the time the failed crush animation finishes, you'll be able to move again and make the cycle while still getting the red marble, saving just under 10 seconds and putting the level's final time under 40 seconds. So, that is now objectively the slower strategy. Just the other day I was running Any% on stream, and while I was in the middle of a run, I had a revelation. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna mess up the hardest level in the game, just because I'm about to sneeze. Will I get it? Yes! Oh my god, I actually did. What the fuck? I did it first try? Now will I get to the elevator in time? No, I will not. I need to practice that more. I don't know why I messed that up so easily. See, like, why can't I make that anymore? What's up with that? Huh? Because this is like the one thing holding me back from actually being able to do Any% is this one level. Okay, so if you don't know, I've explained this in my video about Crush. I have an idea. Oh my god, I have an idea. Wait, how have I never thought about this before? How have I never thought about that before? Oh my god! Wait, love what you've got going on here. Think it could stand to be a bit more cluttered though. I just fucking realized how to get rid of this insanely hard trick. Big Crush moment. Oh my god. A big day for Crush heads. Does this get the same cycle? If it does, Any% is saved. And it gets the right amount of marbles too. Oh my god. Now what's the final time? That's the question. Because if it's the same... Oh my god. Let's see here. Sinking feeling 30... Oh my god, that's even faster than the current world record! It's even faster! So, yeah, I was just way overthinking things. This new route is not only faster, but much easier, and makes getting a run out of Seaside a lot more consistent. The FPCRB was cool and funny and all, but I do like being able to, you know, get a run past 10 minutes. Now, I know what you're all thinking. A speedrun isn't a speedrun without some insanely difficult tricks 60% of the way into the run, and I've got some good news for you. The soul of the FPCRB lives on in a new glitch I discovered. A mechanic I didn't really explain last time was that if you try to walk off of a ledge that you would normally die from, the game will stop you and just have Danny walk into an invisible wall. Of course, you can still jump over this, the game would be unplayable if you couldn't, but what happens if you don't make the jump to the next platform? Well... yeah. As mentioned in the last video, there is in fact fall damage in this game, which is a shame because it sure would be convenient in some levels to be able to jump down to further platforms. Yeah, like that. So you might be wondering what exactly is going on here, and I do too. I'm not entirely sure, but here's my theory on what happens. Whenever you try to walk off a ledge, that invisible wall I mentioned earlier appears as a small pointed lip at the edge. If you jump directly on top of it, you get pushed to one side, either back onto the platform or off of it. However, I don't think that this lip was placed exactly right, and as such it has a very small amount of walkable ground on the other side. When you jump on top of the lip, it pushes you off the platform, and I'm guessing that Danny is considered grounded for a small moment when he touches that walkable ground, and right there you can input a crush. I'm assuming that the crush animation takes precedence over any other state Danny can be in, and as such you don't die from fall damage since you're still in the crush animation. This glitch also bears a visual similarity to a glitch I showed last time in Snookered, so maybe that works in a similar way? I'm not entirely sure, so this is just an educated guess. I don't have any visuals for hitboxes or anything like that, so I could just be completely wrong about this. Nonetheless, this negates any fall damage and can make for some huge skips in certain levels, such as in Tin Can Alley where you can just skip pressing a switch that raises this platform, and in Rush Job where you can just jump all the way down to the second switch without even needing to press the first one. Of course, there's a slight issue with this glitch. It's unbelievably difficult and inconsistent, and is not at all viable for full game runs. Hell, I can barely even do it in individual levels. I would consider this task only for a full game, but there are no task tools for PSP yet. Which sucks! I want to make a task of this game so bad. I think that would be heaps fun, considering all the tricks I've found. But I digress. Back onto the topic of reroutes, I really only have one more notable one, but this one's pretty cool. So, in Jolly Roger, one of the seaside levels, the way you normally beat the level is by pushing this boulder up here, then pushing it down here, then hopping on the boulder and going to the exit. However, I came up with a pretty crafty workaround. You can just push the boulder underneath the awning, then crush to stop it in place. You can then hop on top of it, then hop onto this platform and uncrush, and bam, you're right next to the exit. I'm pretty proud of this trick, it saves a lot of time and is pretty clever in my opinion. That's about it for interesting reroutes. There are some more routes that have changed, but in my opinion they're pretty small and not worth mentioning. So let's move right along to the next topic, development stuff. There isn't a whole lot of info on the development of Crush, mostly because it was a pretty quiet release. It was never shown off at any trade shows and there's barely any prototype footage or screenshots. The only glimpses we have at early development content for Crush is artwork from the game's unlockable gallery and concept art on the website of the lead artist, John Taylor. Here we can get a look at what seems to be an unused world theme, maybe a world based on math or school. There's also this Gygus looking guy with a bunch of eyes, which doesn't look like anything that made into the final game. Maybe they were originally supposed to be boss battles or something that was going to be an antagonist at some point. Here's something that looks like a 3D model of Danny's house, or maybe Dr. Rubin's office? Again, it doesn't really look like anything in the final game. We've also got early designs for Danny that look much less pathetic. I hate him. There's also some art of what I can only assume to be Danny as a cockroach. I say it's Danny specifically because it still has the robe and slippers. I'm not really sure where this would have come into play in the final game though. There's actually a couple pieces with more humanoid cockroaches, including this general looking guy, labeled at the top as Big Frickin' Bug. We've also got a Venus flytrap that doesn't show up anywhere in the final game. Then there's also this admittedly really cool looking rat guy. He's got a skateboard and his spine is popping out the back of his shirt. It's super grody, but honestly I really vibe with it. A pretty interesting piece I found is this concept art for this Jack-in-the-Box. While it doesn't appear anywhere in the PSP version, it does later appear in the nursery background in Crush 3D. There's quite a few drawings of the city that shows that it would have had a lot more grotesque set pieces, such as traffic lights and fire hydrants with eyes. And last but not least, at least for concept art, we have Happy Crushmas. Happy Crushmas to you too, Rubens. Now, while scrolling through articles and interviews with the creators, I stumbled upon something pretty huge. In an interview with executive producer Paul Mottram, he stated that there was originally going to be a level editor in the PSP version, as well as downloadable levels. I'm like, man, that would have been so cool! Unfortunately, the level editor was cut because they couldn't refine it enough in time for release. And the DLC levels never came to fruition because Zelda mode was too busy developing other things such as SingStar and the iCode. Unfortunately, these didn't make it into Crush 3D either for one reason or another. It's a real shame too, because the level editor was something that was built into actual builds that ran on the PSP. They created all the levels in the actual game itself, not an outside program, so this could have been relatively easy to put in the game. I mean, at least I assume so. I'm sure it's more complex than that, and they had their reasons. I'd love to see that level editor get released to some capacity at some point though, that'd be awesome. And that's about all I had lined up for this video. I do eventually want to make a video on Crush 3D and how different that version is, as well as why I don't particularly like it, but that probably won't be for a while. Again, I said this last video, but I just want more people to know about and play this game. It really deserves more attention. Alright, that will be all. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.